as we have reported, Iran launched an unprecedented attack on Israel over the weekend, firing more than 300 drones and missiles. Nearly all of the projectiles were blocked by Israel's air defenses, helped by the U.S. military and other allies. So, how did we get to this point? And now that we are here, what should America do next? We're joined by national security contributor Samantha Vinograd, former Assistant Secretary for Counterterrorism and Threat Prevention at the Department of Homeland Security. Sam, always good to see you. Good morning. All right, so let's talk about this. You've worked in 3 presidential administrations countering Iranian aggression. What kind of discussions were happening in the Situation Room as these attacks unfolded?
Well, Vlad, having worked for 3 presidents, I can tell you that Iran is viewed as one of the most aggressive adversaries, facing not just Israel, but facing the United States. I know that what happened overseas may seem far away to many of our viewers, but it is worth remembering. The United States has tens of thousands of troops in the Middle East, thousands of diplomats, hundreds of thousands of Americans living there, working there, visiting there. In Iran, the world's largest state sponsor of terror, the country with the largest ballistic missile inventory in the region, has attacked the U.S. military before in the region, has attacked U.S. citizens, and has tried to inspire attacks against Americans all over the world. So while Iran presents an existential threat to the state of Israel, it also presents a risk to Americans in the region and beyond. And that is why what happened over the weekend was unprecedented. It was incredibly dangerous, but it would have been a lot worse if not for the intensive operational planning by the United States and its partners, to include Arab countries, by the way, which is very notable. Intensive operational planning to get assets into place and diplomacy to try to convince Iran not to overcalibrate their response to Israel.
You certainly had a lot of help, but do you think that there's a part of Bibi Netanyahu that's going, yes, this is great for me because it deflects attention from what's happening in Gaza, because he's taking a lot of incoming now?
Prime Minister Netanyahu is certainly under immense political pressure within Israel. He has pressure from members of his far-right coalition based upon new legislation that may be passed regarding the ultra-Orthodox serving in the military. And he's also under immense pressure because it has been over 6 months, Gayle.
Yes.
And there's still Israeli hostages in Gaza. But we do know that the U.S. administration continues to push Prime Minister Netanyahu to focus on the hostage release.
But doesn't this change the narrative a bit for him, Sam, at this particular time when he needs it most?
It does. And it is true, Gayle, that in a moment like this, when Israel has been attacked by Iran, the war cabinet, the national security apparatus in Israel, is going to shift priorities to try to provide for their ongoing defense and, importantly, to figure out how and when Israel will respond to Iran, because Israel will respond to Iran in some fashion. However, the president, the national security advisor, and others are urging Netanyahu to think carefully about what he's doing. But also, it's not just Israel, Gayle. The international community has to hold Iran accountable for what they did so that more missiles don't fly over the Middle East, putting American lives at risk and others.
Yeah. Iran is not popular in many other Middle Eastern countries as well. What are you going to be looking for to kind of guide us into the future here as an indicator of what's to come, say, in the next 3 months?
I'm going to be looking for the international community's response to try to cut off funding for the Iranian regime to buy, manufacture, produce more missiles. I'm going to be looking for whether Bibi Netanyahu does engage in some sort of military action against Iran. And I'm also going to be looking at whether Iran tamps down its activities via its spider web of proxies in the region that continue to attack U.S. assets throughout the region. So I'll be looking for those 3 things.
The U.S. has made it clear that if Israel does decide to retaliate, we are not getting involved in that. Do you think they can maintain that position if Israel does decide to retaliate? Can we just say, look, we're not getting involved in that?
I think that the United States will continue to provide for Israel's defense. And so while it is unlikely that the United States will commit forces to actually attack Iran, the United States has forces in Jordan and Saudi Arabia and on aircraft carriers in the region that are involved as Iran was launching projectiles towards Israel. So the United States will maintain that posture, while I do think it's unlikely they will get involved in a direct attack on Iran.
All right, Sam, it's good to have you at the table. I just like saying, as you started, 3 presidential administrations. You've clearly been in the room where it happens, like that Hamilton play. Good to have you on the table. Thank you so much.